This is in response to one of the questions people sent to me this morning on Catholic dogma and practices. This one is on the images that the Catholics have at the altars in the church, in their homes, especially when they pray, that they pray before these images. Are they praying to the images? The images are they gods? Their argument is that it's a form of idolatry, that God does not like images and abhors images and tells us not to bow around images. A very close look at the Bible will tell you it is not so. God does not abhor images. God does not instruct against images. He simply says, do not pray to any image or bow before any image, because there is no other one but God. There is no other God but God, God Almighty. God himself gave instruction on how the Ark of the Covenant, which is the Holy of the Holies, was constructed. After it was constructed, he gave them instruction to place two images on the ark, one of cherubim and the other of seraphim. And if God hated images, he would not have instructed them to do so. If you look at the temple built by Solomon, David wanted to build a temple, but God said no. He gave that privilege to Solomon to build a temple for him. And after he built the temple, he adorned the temple with images of oxen and lions. And God looked at the temple and said, behold, it was good. He did not complain about images. If you also notice that when the Jews or the Israelites were leaving Egypt, they were running away onto the promised land, somewhere in the desert, they became disobedient to God and began to do evil practices. Cast Moses out, and God sent the snake to bite them. And the snake was biting them, and many of them were dying. At some point, they found out that their relationship with God was very bad, but they didn't, by themselves, pray to God in a sense. They probably did, but it was not accounted for in the Bible. They said they went to Moses and asked him to pray to God on their behalf. And Moses did, and God listened and then forgave them. However, he gave them instruction that for them to survive, that Moses had to make a crystal serpent similar to the one that was biting them and mount it on a pole. And whoever was bitten by the snake should look up at the crystal serpent on the pole, and he would live. If he failed to look at the crystal serpent, he would die. And so the crystal serpent was an image of the real serpent, yet it was God who gave Moses that instruction to make the crystal serpent. Therefore, God does not hate images. If you come into my house, you will see the photographs of my father or my mother hanging on the wall, and those of my children and the rest of my family. So even though my father is no longer here with us, somebody may say to me, looking at the picture, who is this? He doesn't say, what is that? So he's looking at the picture and he's saying, who is this? Because he sees that the picture is a representation of an individual. That's why he says, who is this? Then I said, that's my father. I don't say that is the picture of my father. The same thing applies to the statue of Virgin Mary or statue of St. Michael, St. Francis, or any other saint. We know they are alive and well because God is God of the living and not God of the dead. So Abraham, Francis, all of them are with God in heaven, as well as our Blessed Mother Mary. So we make pictures of them. We can call them statues, just like we have statues of Abraham Lincoln. And when we see it We don't say, whose statue is this or whose picture is this? We say, who is that? Somebody will say, Abraham Lincoln. So that's what the statues represent. They represent the people we have in mind that we want to commune with, because there's communion of saints between the physically living and those who live in the spirit at this point we call heaven. And for those who believe in a place between heaven and earth called purgatory, you don't have to believe that, but at least know that there are people who are alive and well, that the ones that are physically living may not see, but we still communicate with them through prayer, just like we don't see God. We don't see Jesus, but we know that Jesus is alive and well. The same way we know that the apostles are alive and well. So God does not hate images, and Catholics do not pray to images, and they do not worship images.